I really do appreciate you. I know you got a ton going on right now, probably working with clients and everything, getting ready for the show. So it's really cool to have you spend a little bit of time with us here today in the weight room.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me on.
Definitely. So let's get this thing underway. Like I said, I'm sure you got plenty to do. Got summer shredding coming up here in just a few days. I'm very excited for that. It's going to be the first time I'm going down there and experiencing the show, getting around that community, all those amazing athletes and people, and then obviously going to Alpha Land the next day. It's going to be so cool. But to you, tell us a little bit about you. Introduce yourself a little bit.
Okay. Well, my name's Adrian Stover. Been in the fitness scene for, I'd say, like on the social media side of things for probably about a year and a half now. I went to college, played college baseball for 4 years, recently just graduated back in May. So I got my degree in kinesiology, wellness management. And then now I'm a full-time posing coach, bodybuilding prep coach, client lifestyle coach.
So baseball, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
Was there a pretty good component of strength conditioning to that, I guess?
Yeah. So I got into the gym when I was like 16, I would say. So I remember I had moved. I've lived, kind of like all over the world. And we were living in Dallas at the time, and we had moved to the Houston area. And I was at like this really good baseball school out here. And I get there, and like all these guys are like, going D1, like big guys. And I was like the smallest kid on the team. And so we're going home, and I was like, Mom, like I need to go to the gym. And so she set me up with a trainer out of this place in Houston, one of those like sports specific, baseball training places. Trained there for a couple of years, and I was like, strength and conditioning type work. Kind of built I guess I could say I built a foundation there. And then I got into college, and my freshman year, I had a buddy of mine, one of my roommates actually was really into bodybuilding. And then it kind of like shifted. So I kept playing baseball, but I started training in like this, bodybuilding. I'd say like sophomore year of college, and I had to be 19 at the time. It was like when I really started taking things full throttle.
Gotcha. And it's interesting because I've talked to a lot of people who, that's where they get the interest of, fitness in general is just like through sports. And I think it's really cool because, it's this avenue of health in school. We don't really get it from anywhere else, unfortunately. But if you play sports, you kind of get that, like, hey, this is what you should kind of be eating more of. This is how you should be, moving your body more to stay, active, stay healthy, obviously get, fit for your sport as well. But like sports are the kind of the dying breed of fitness in, in the school system, really.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's like I feel like being in sports and like playing baseball really gave me a competitive edge. Like naturally, I'm just a very competitive person. I'm like a big outdoor person as well. Like if I'm doing something that's not revolving work or not revolving in the gym, I'm outside playing a pickup sport with my friends. And I think that's kind of like also the competitive aspect of it propelled me into the competitive aspect of bodybuilding.
Right. So at what point did you said you started training for like in a bodybuilding style, but what point did you say, you know what, I'm going to, actually step into this and, do a show?
So it had to be, I've been training for a little bit. I was watching guys on YouTube, like really big fan of like David Late at the time, Dylan McKenna. I used to watch them like religiously my sophomore year of college when I started getting into all this. Like everybody else is kind of like the same boat. And so I started doing that. And then like junior year, I started, training at a gym. This was like, because sophomore year happened, we got sent home. We were literally on the bus about to go to Austin for a game. We like get off the bus, we get sent home.
Wow.
And so then, I started training my gym at, like, I made a little home gym, right? Trained there over, that COVID time. And then when COVID ended and the gym started opening back up, I went to this gym in Houston called Iron City. And Iron City is like old school throwback, bodybuilder, like no AC type gym. And a lot of pros train there. So like Logan Franklin trains there. And I was like sitting in like Kosh Gidry trains all those athletes out of there. And I'm sitting there like around all these like pro bodybuilders. I was like, this is cool. And, kind of what propelled me into it. I remember one day I was sitting in the gym and, I was just hitting like a front double by, nothing crazy, like didn't know what I was doing. And this one guy came up to me and he was like, hey man, do you compete? And I was like, no, like I always kind of thought about it, didn't know like about bodybuilding. And he was like, well, come here. And he takes me in the posing room, like middle of my workout, and spends like an hour with me and like taught me so much stuff. And I was like, well, this is pretty cool. And so I was thinking, I was like, I want to build a lot of size and compete like when I'm done with college and done with baseball. My junior year rolls around. So I finished my first semester of junior year of college. And second semester, this like I'd maybe posted like 3 or 4 like maybe pictures on Instagram of like something related with fitness. And this guy DM'd me. His name's Christopher Smith, and he DM'd me, and he was like, "Hey man, like you ever thought about competing?" I was like, "Yeah, like probably in a couple years." And he was like, "Sick. Well, like let's talk about it sometime." So I remember I hopped on a call with this guy, and he explained to me like his whole pitch about everything. And I ended up joining this team called Motivated by Greatness, which is a bodybuilding team. And they, taught us like a bunch of stuff with that, how to like, compete in a show, compete with a bunch of group of people. And then I ended up prepping for summer shredding, which was last October, and I competed in my first show then.
Nice, man. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here just for a second. Let me tell you about Smoking Gun Coffee. They're a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to produce a quality coffee at an affordable price. They only buy coffee from small coffee farmers around the world with a cup score of at least 85. Each batch is roasted to order for maximum freshness. They also donate a large portion of their proceeds to organizations that help local communities, veterans, first responders, or you can donate to the foundation of your choice at the checkout by going to www.smokingguncoffee.com. That's SMOKIN Gun Coffee. Joining a team like that, I'm sure you kind of got really into the community of bodybuilding a whole lot more. What was your kind of initial, your initial thoughts kind of versus those maybe preconceived notions or misconceptions of maybe what it might be like kind of entering that community?
Well, I thought it was cool because, I always kind of wanted, like, I would like, go on social media. I was like, that's cool. Like people, I looked at it as they work out for a living and they make their living off of that. And then they compete in shows. I was like, that's cool. Like, that'd be cool to do that. And so when I got into like the community aspect of it, like, I didn't really have like too many expectations. I really just thought it was like a bunch of people that were like kind of like minded, you know what I mean? Because I was on my baseball team and I was like the only guy, there's guys who love to work out, right? But I was the only guy who like, I think took it as seriously as I did and was so passionate about it. And then I was surrounded by these people. We're not just like trying to prep for a show. They were trying to get in like the social media game as well and do all these other great things. And I think that is what really like just changed everything. Be around like so many like people really like brought a good aspect.
That first show you decided to compete in, I think it's really cool because it's like setting that goal. It takes it to that next level. Even if you like training, even if you kind of enjoy the bodybuilding lifestyle, it takes it to that level of like, oh wow, now I have to, I really have to commit to it because everything I do is going to be shown when I get up there on stage. Did you feel any of that pressure when you decided, hey, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah. So interesting enough, I prepped through baseball season. And that was tough, really tough. So like I had started prep in the summer and we do fall ball, right? And something they did in our school was fall ball was like 3 to 4 weeks, but it was six days a week, 8 hour practice a day. Yeah. So I wake up, I go to class. As soon as class ends, it's like 2 to 10 p.m. We get like an hour break for dinner. We come back and scrimmage. And then after that, I'm going, because I don't have time in between. So I'm going to the gym after that. And in the gym, I'm doing my posing, I'm doing cardio if I need to do it. And so they actually like, my coach actually cut cardio for 8 weeks. And I was eating, what was cool about that is I was able to eat like 3,000 calories in my whole prep and still lose weight because I was so active and I was getting like 25,000 steps a day. So with that and like, because I really like switched my platform into like really showing people like they can like, do anything they put their mind to. And I put a lot of pressure, I think, on myself with that into like, get the most condition you can get, like bring the best physique you can do. And with all that, I will say like definitely have no regrets to anything. With all that, like I never missed a cardio session, never missed a macro, never missed a posing session, anything. And so I think that pressure really propelled me to like do the best I could.
Yeah, that's very, a very unique situation, obviously, to be in. I feel like it definitely adds another layer. And you hear all the time people who do bodybuilding, they face like a lot of kind of adversity and a lot of time constraints and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your whole life revolves around it. I will say that. When you decide to commit to a show, like you have a certain date, and obviously like every little thing you do leads up to that date. Like you're calculating your steps for the day, you're calculating your water intake for the day. Like each individual carb, each protein, each fat, like it all plays into everything. And like, that's what makes your physique change on a daily level.
Right. So what do you think in that first, prep that you did, what do you think was the most challenging aspect for you? Obviously, like you said, it's a very unique situation, but like taking into account all the factors, what do you think was the biggest challenge for you?
Oof, I wouldn't even say sticking to it was a challenge because that like I was very disciplined in that aspect. I wouldn't even say motivation. I think um, it's a tough question because I never really second guessed myself. I was documenting the whole thing, like through my social media. I think that was like tough at times because, like I said, like I would go to practice and sometimes we get up early at 8, and I was like, yes. And sometimes it'd be 10 p.m. And then I'm like, going to the gym. And by the time I'm done with all that, I'm cooking my last meal at 1 a.m. And then I'm up till 3, like creating that content for the next day. Or I'm doing it like throughout my classes, which was like, I don't recommend that. But it I think that was probably the most challenging thing for me and like really pushing through it. But thankfully, like I consider myself very blessed to have one, met the people I've met in life, like super supportive group of friends in college, super supportive family, super supportive mentors, and a lot of people I think really like propelled me to like yeah, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. And so it was and just the support I got from other people like that I met online and stuff was really helpful.
What do you think, when you finally got to step on stage, how does that feeling of stepping on stage differ, from stepping on a baseball field, really?
Oh, you'll never forget it. Never forget that. I remember it's like those like for example, like if I pitched like one of my best games in college, right? And I had like a great interview afterwards or something, like it's really hard for me to go back and like depict like what I did because it was like you were so locked in the moment. And I feel like that's how it was with the show. Like I remember walking out and seeing the lights and just like hearing like there like I had a lot of supporters there. So like hearing the crowd roar. Because it was a big show. There was like 400 competitors. And hearing that, and it was just like then it was just like lights out, like everything just kind of like blacked out. And I did well, but it was just like I don't know. It's a feeling I'll never forget 100%.
Talking to people, they often say they have these kind of weird experiences. Maybe it's a dream, maybe it's just weird thoughts that go through their head during prep and like really getting close to the show. Did you have any of that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely the show felt like a dream 100%. In the show aspect, I remember the day before I was like, I'm a very energetic person. And I remember the day before I was like super hyped. Like I was talking to everybody. I was like, this is gonna be so fun. And then like I woke up for show day and I was like white face, just locked in. Like did not like really want to talk to anybody. I was just like, let's get this done. But leading up to the show, yeah, because you're dieting really hard and like your body does not want to stay at low body fat for very long. It's like but I describe it, you get to a point where you're essentially like starving the body, right? Because you drop your calories really low. Like everyone has to do that. You're doing like insane amounts of overtraining with cardio and your physical training with weights and all that. And also your posing, which is in its own respect, pretty difficult. And so with like thoughts, obviously like body dysmorphia is a big one, probably for every competitor. Like, you think you're not lean enough and all that. And like I remember getting to the show and I was probably the leanest, one of the leanest people on stage, right? I remember thinking I wasn't lean enough for the longest time. And like looking back at pictures, I was like, wow, I can't believe I thought that. Like that was one. I remember 3 weeks out, I stopped sleeping because my hormones dropped so much because of like the low fat and all that and the low diet. And so I had trouble sleeping for like 3 weeks. I remember people asked me what you want, like, do you want food and all this? And obviously I had cravings, but I was like, man, I just want to sleep.
And I think it's so cool how the experience of a prep is so different for everybody, but it's also like so similar and similar kind of like across time, because you might go on a prep today, obviously with different technology and different information now, it's a little bit different, but you can kind of connect with, bodybuilders of the past and, how they were feeling in certain moments of their career a little bit. I just think it's so cool how that similar experience can be, felt and appreciated across kind of different generations of the sport.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what's really cool about it. Like, if you ever talk to a competitor who like just loves the sport, what I tell people don't do bodybuilding because they want it, because they just like like, oh, I'm good at it. You know what I mean? People do it because they love the sport, because it's a tough thing to do. Like, you see people all the time. They'll plan a show, right? And then they're 4 weeks out and they drop out. It happens all the time because they can't handle it. And it takes like a different type of mental capacity, I think, to do it. Like, some people handle prep better than others, and some people are totally fine and they look great. Um, I'm not one of those people. But, with that being said, like, everyone has like this crazy respect for another competitor, regardless of how you look, because like you went through that whole process. And that's what's cool about the sport. It's very supportive sport.
This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout. The cool thing, I think, is it's this physical representation of mental characteristics in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. That's what's so cool about it.
At what point did you decide, like, hey, this is, this fitness thing, this bodybuilding thing, this is something that I might actually like be interested in pursuing as far as like, monetary wise, helping other people and making money and making it something to where this is a path that I can take?
Yeah, so I actually like opened up my coaching business like a year and a half ago, like right when I started the social media stuff. That was cool about Motivated by Greatness. Like, they weren't expecting me for a show. They taught me like, how to grow on social media, and then also how to open up a successful business, right? And so when I was through prep, like, not only was I like in baseball, I was on prep, trying to have a social life too, because it was my last like year of school, but I was also running a business. And so at this point, I remember I had like 20 clients at a point, which I think is a respectable amount, within like my first 7 months of starting it. And so I had that, right? And then, I was doing like more lifestyle clients, like, weight loss, weight gain, and I loved it. It was very fulfilling for me. And it was good because I could work on my own hours. It's hard to have a job when you're playing sports in school. And then when my show ended, I kept doing that for a little bit. And I had a friend refer another guy who was wanting to do a show, and I had trained her before, and she was like, hey, he was looking for a coach. She was like, I know this guy. He used to train me. Like, he's a great trainer, and like, this is a show day shots, and he knows a lot about bodybuilding. So the guy reached out to me, and he wanted me to do his first prep, and I was like, yeah, like, why not? Like, I know a lot about the sport. I feel very knowledgeable, and I feel very comfortable prepping somebody. And so I prepped him, and he competed fairly recently. Killed it. Absolutely killed his show. And I remember like watching, because I'm not competing for another year. I remember watching him through his prep, and like, obviously I'm telling him what to do, but it was like I was reliving that. And it's like, it's fun going through prep because you just see your body change like every day, every week. And like reliving that with him, and his name's Matt. Reliving it with Matt, I was like, that's so cool. And his show day felt like my show day. It was the most fulfilling experience. And then I realized like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to do more contest prep, right? And so, as that prep went on, I started getting like more people coming to me for prep. I started really diving into the posing side of things. I feel like that's where like most people know me from. And then, so then since the show, I've just become like a full-time to put everything into contest and bodybuilding prep. And it's been super fulfilling for me.
That's really cool. You're coaching Eric Ogle, right?
Yeah. He's killing
So he was actually, as you may probably know, the last podcast that came out here, episode 200, and he's talking about his, 30-day prep.
Yeah.
What kind of, as a coach, what kind of advice do you give somebody like that?
Okay, so Eric, he's a great guy, a good friend. So I've known him for over a year. I literally met him in the gym, and so like I've been posting a bunch of posing stuff, right, and like really like teaching, because all my posing was self-taught, right, and I've been teaching like through social media, like how to do certain stuff, or how to hit certain poses, and like just like what looks best in your physique, and a lot of people learn from that. And I just moved back to Houston, and I see Eric in the gym. I'm like, what's up, man? I knew he was like just started prep. This is like 3 or 4 days into his prep or something. And I was like, so how's everything going? He was like, it's going good, and I kind of just like hopped into this, and he was like, I was like, oh, well, who's coaching? He's like, oh, I'm coaching myself. It's like, oh, how's that going? He was like, you could tell he was kind of nervous. And he's like, well, to be honest, man, he's like, like I'm just kind of like winging it. He's like, I feel like I'm looking good right now. And he was looking great. Honestly, like he was 2 weeks out, at 4 weeks out. And I was like, man, like, let me help you. So We ran through like some of his posing. He had a very good foundation. We like, crafted a lot of it, made it, I think at this point now he's competing in a couple of days and it's perfect. And then I kind of helped him out doing daily check-ins and all that. And it's just crazy to see how his physique's changed so much. And like, I feel like I'm really helping him, like, teach him all this too. And he's just, I don't know, he's just such a good guy. He's very, very thankful for it. So.
I feel like that's a very bodybuilder thing to do though, because I feel like it takes that like all in kind of mentality to do this.
Yeah, he's lucky. He's able to maintain just such a lean body fat percentage and feel healthy, right? And so that's what like makes for him okay. Like I know there's another guy I'm coaching right now. I don't know if you know who he is, but his name's Corey Van Dorn, and he decided to do it 30 days out too. And I'm coaching him for his posing as well. And like it's kind of similar situation to Eric. Like he stays like close to stage ready all year long, and so like people like that can do it. It's very tough, but I mean like just seeing Eric's check-in photos today and seeing Corey's, like they're probably some of the most like shredded people I've ever seen.
You kind of touched on it a little bit. As a coach though, how does the show day, how does the day of the show really compare to, being a coach compared to being the actual athlete that day?
Well, like I said, it's very fulfilling. As the athlete, you're kind of just like, I'll wait till coach tells me what to do. And then you do what coach tells you what to do. Because it's not like you're going to go off protocol at that point, right? If you ever have a coach, if anybody's listening, don't ever go off protocol. But yeah, so as the athlete, you kind of just like wait for them to tell you what to do and like you do it and you see how it affects your body and you're like, cool, like I'm looking better every hour on show day because you're carbing up. As the coach, it's like you have to be so locked in particular on how every single like meal that they have or every single food item is affecting their body, right? So like seeing how they're carving up, seeing how full they're getting and how fast is really what tells you when their next meal is going to be or how many carbs it needs to be or what form of carbs it needs to be, whether it needs to be like sugar or not, to like properly carb them up and keep them full. Because in most shows you do the morning show and then you go out for a meal and then you come back and you do the night show. Summer shredding is not like that, unfortunately, so you don't have like too much time to work with. But as a coach, like you got to be very locked in, like making sure that everything works perfectly. Because the worst thing that you could ever do as a coach, I think, is ruin somebody's prep. And I see it happen all the time. A lot of like famous like coaches out there who prep like bodybuilding competitors that compete in open. It's completely different the way they carve up because they have so much mass, and so it's just loading food right for their show. And like men's physique typically is not like that based on like the average men's physique person, right? It's very like small depending on your size as well. And so I've seen coaches just load them up with food and they look great and they look super shredded, and then they spill over a ton and they look awful on stage. And it's the worst thing to see. I hate to see it.
So does it feel like just from a coaching aspect, just a lot of pressure then?
Yes and no. Yes, in the aspect of like, I just want them to do well. So that's like my job, right? Like one, never will I ever have a client like embarrass themselves on stage. And in that aspect, I mean, I'm just like going out there and just not hitting like right poses or just doing wrong. So that's my job to get that aspect right? Make sure that they show the best part of the physique they can possible in the best way to showcase their strengths, right? And then the pressure aspect of like carving them up. If you've been working with them for a while, you have an idea, right? Because then like 2 weeks out, depending on the way you do it, there's a million ways to peak. Everyone has their own way. Like you have an idea of how they deplete and how they carve up. So you kind of know. And there's like last minute things where it's like, okay, like you need this or like you don't need this. So I feel like on show day, it runs a little smoother. In the beginning of peak week, it's a little more stressful in my opinion, because you're really seeing how things affect them.
I think it's crazy how you have like, as a bodybuilder, it's so monotonous. You do the same things day in and day out, and it's kind of like a slow progress. You have to work for months and years to really get to the place where you want to be a lot of times. But then it kind of has this completely opposite, I'm trying to think of the word, this dichotomy where it's like all that slow work, and then on the show day, it's like all happening so fast. It's crazy how there's kind of both of those aspects into the one realm.
Yeah, and that's why I'm always there on show day. Always there. So like I'll be backstage this show day, but like when I coach competitors, it's say on their show day that they're gonna have like probably 3 or 4 times they like consume food before stage. It just depends on the time they go on stage. But let's just say it's that. Like you're sending me check-in photos like after every time you eat, like 30 minutes after, so I can see how it's affecting the body if I'm not with you in person. Right. And so like, yeah, it's very tedious, like prepping them correctly.
What are you expecting for this show as far as the show itself and then, predictions maybe?
Yeah. I got a lot of guys competing in the show. I have about 20. Either I'm their posing coach or I'm their full-time prep coach. And so the show starting tomorrow for me is going to be pretty busy. Like I'm going to be there from like 4 p.m. till probably like 9 or 10, just running posing sessions. So it's going to be exciting, really exciting to see the guys and the hard work they put in. But when it comes to the stage, I have a lot of guys who, personally, I'm coaching and I know who they're up against, who either like who I'm not coaching, and I really think they're going to do very well based on extreme like flow in their posing as well as their conditioning. When it comes to like the realm of the show, it's going to be big. Like last show was 400 competitors. This show, I don't know how many, but I know it's more. And what I tell people about summer shredding is it's a great show. It's a fun show. It's a great first show, but the competition now is so high in it. It's like for most people, probably the best national stage they'd ever step on. Wow. So if you want to win, like you got to bring it. You got to be really good. You got to be locked in. And so it's going to be exciting. Whoever wins it, whether it's one of my guys or somebody else's, I hope it's one of mine, but it's going to be one exciting show to watch. I will tell you.
Yeah. It feels like it's a really kind of a special opportunity for somebody to kind of come out of nowhere and kind of make a name for themselves.
Exactly. And it happens every single year.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it to, like I said at the beginning, feel that energy of the show, all the people that have put in so much time, the hours, the days, the months, the years of training and of, doing other shows and the coaches as well, all the knowledge and experience that's going to be there. It's just, I'm really looking forward to it. So, it's going to be really fun, I think.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And that's like, I'm not even coaching, like doing posing sessions with guys competing in summer training tomorrow. I'm doing with so many other people. And that's what's going to be really exciting about it. Cause like you said, there's so many people who have knowledge in so many different aspects in different areas, whether it's bodybuilding or not. And that's kind of where everyone comes together. And it's an amazing experience, I will say.
Right. Really appreciate you coming on here tonight.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Definitely. So if you want to share your social medias real quick before you head out, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah. So just Adrian Stover 22. That's ADRIAN STOVER 22. That's on Instagram and TikTok. And then you guys can add me on Snapchat as well. I answer all my messages. So Snapchat is just Adrian ADRAN _ 22. And those are pretty much the only social medias I use. But yeah, I always answer all my DMs. If you ever got a question about posing, bodybuilding, anything, feel free to hit me up and I will definitely help you out.
All righty, man. Well, appreciate your time. Good luck moving forward in the next couple of days, staying well rested and keeping those athletes on the right track.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me.